Welcome one, welcome all. Stephen Osentoski here of Maize and Brew, and let's talk about violence. I'm just kidding. but welcome to Maize and Blue Review. We're just going to roll with it. I didn't really have a plan for tonight. I'm doing the regular cut-ups with the one, the only Trevor McHugh tomorrow. So it's coming tomorrow because trick-or-treat tonight. Trevor had to attend to trick-or-treating dad duties. So definitely going to be doing that tomorrow instead of today. And then we'll be back on regular scheduling for next week. So welcome Venice 90291. As we get going here, place any questions that you have. The schedule for today is going to be talk through some of the tunnel notes, go through the videos real quick, just get that out of the way. I know it's kind of been beaten to death. If you follow my Twitter at Stephen Toski, I put some of my thoughts there, but spend probably like 10, 15 minutes maybe on that. And then go from there. You got kids? I do not. Dude, there were really brief Halloween. 2 kids came by for Halloween. Kind of bummed me out, sitting there, big bowl of candy waiting. It's a bummer, but it's okay. That's okay. I watched the Red Wings, watched the Pistons, both losing. It's okay. It's how it goes sometimes. That's how it be. But hope everyone in here had a nice Halloween. As everyone trickles in here, we'll get going on some of the footage real quick. I just want to address it, just want to talk about it because I feel like there's a lot to talk about. I'll walk through the video. I'll go through any questions you guys have about it, but I just want to give my take on it before diving into some film analysis. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, let's start the footage. I'm going to start with the 2 videos that were shared yesterday. Right? Like right away. These were the or was it yesterday or the day before? Anyway, the first 2 initial videos that kind of showed the not so great angles of what transpired, and then I'll show the video that was shown today. Okay, so this was actually the second one that was shown, so I'm going to reverse these because we should show the order in which they were released, right, just to be accurate. So this is the first one that came out. This is Jane McBurrows, obviously getting a little bit riled up here. You can't see it. You can't see the screen. Okay. I'm glad I caught that now. Let's shift to this view. This view is a little better. All right, let's go to that. All right, here we go. So this was the initial video. Everyone kind of kicking Jane McBurrows down. Number of suspensions from this video alone. Okay, so to call out who is suspended from that, you got Tank Brown, who is right here. So number 19. All right, number 19 here, Tank Brown. He is suspended probably for this shove, and he's kind of in the middle here of the one working with McBurrows there. So he's out of it. Number 18 here, Zion Young, I believe, starting defensive end. He's out. He kind of throws a punch right there, right? Can't be doing that. And then Gross as well. Gross throws a pretty vicious uppercut here, right there. Boom. Nasty. And McBurrows goes down from that. So that's pretty rough, right? A couple other players that were involved in this one that have not received repercussions. You actually do have Jaden Reed as a part of this. Again, right now, we don't know what's really happening, right? Jay McBurrows is somewhere here. We don't really see what's going on here. There could be kicks. There could be other things going on. We just don't see it, right? He's somewhere down here in the scuffle. And I say Jaden Reed is around here because also that looks like a punch right here, right? From whoever this player is. White. I don't know exactly who that is, but right here looks like a punch is kind of thrown here, right there. 30. Whoever number 30 is. That doesn't look good. Whatever happens there. And then where was Jaden Reed as a part of this? You can see if I slow it down. We're getting really technical here. You kind of see a number 1 right here. right? So Jane Reed is a part of this. So that's another captain kind of as a part of the scuffle. So Jane Reed is dragging or doing something right here. This is Jane Reed because we see that number one on his jersey, right? So follow him. There he is. He goes off screen. He's one of these guys, and then he's going to come out again. So there goes Jaden Reed. So he was a part of it. Number 30 probably should have gotten some disciplinary action as well, but it's not good, right? So that was the initial video that was shown. In the background of this, we actually see Winman and Harmon, or Harmon especially, taking number 14 there. Who's number 14? I had this written down somewhere. Kari Crump. Kari Crump taken away from that. Okay, so let's shift to the other angle here. This was the initial angle that we saw of the footage of G-Man Green getting hit with a helmet um, Crump. So right there, boom, getting hit. We have the director of operations here from Michigan State running away. Understandably, kind of, where he's a 170-pound man, can't really be. I mean, honestly, probably should be trying to stop the fight, right? But what's he really going to do in this situation? Not a good look. Okay. At the end of the day, not a good look for that guy. Really scary. Okay. So this is all we saw initially. So from Michigan State's point of view, right, they suspended 3 players who were pretty clearly throwing punches against Jaden McBurrows that we saw from that clearer footage. From this footage, it's very clear that someone was throwing a helmet at G-Man Green, right? Can't be hitting someone with a helmet. Pretty vicious. So they probably tracked him down and figured out who that was who was doing that. And he was suspended as well. Okay. And then I believe it was this morning where we get the full footage, right, of what's actually happening here. So we only really see a better angle of the helmet getting hit here against G-Man Green. So they're back here somewhere, okay? And I didn't really zoom in too much, but we see initially players start to turn around, right? So there's probably some jawing going on back here, probably talking, right? A key thing here to point out is location, right? Where there was a lot of talk about like skipping through the tunnel, right? Being inappropriate, things like that. It's clear that Jim Green, Jane McBurrows, while they probably are talking, right? There's probably some talk going on right now. They are along this wall. Okay. So it's not like they're pushing players, whatever like that. And then something happens. Okay. See players start to turn around. Is their progress being impeded? It's hard to say for sure. Right about here, we see some sort of shove, right? We see some sort of shove right above the shoulder of 77 right here. Something happens. Okay. There's some sort of swipe or shove there, and then a retaliation. Okay. So there's some hands back and forth that I see. Boom, and then boom. And right here, okay, we get some contact. Now there's some jawing, right? This guy's reacting. This guy's reacting. He's going this way, and now they're squaring up. Okay, Jim Green, Jane McBurrows, whoever else was over there, probably Crump, right? Because he's the guy who started throwing around the helmet. With all of that, right now something's about to happen. Right, players are approaching, closing that distance, and then all hell starts to break loose. Right, something right there. Right, we don't really see who's hitting. Someone is hitting G-Man Green. It looks like right there. Okay, Winman, number 4 here for Michigan State. He starts getting involved. The main reason that I think he needs to be suspended as well, because right here, he throws on the helmet. Okay, and when he got players right there kind of surrounding Michigan players right now, it's not good. Okay. So at this moment, some chaos has ensued, right? G-Man Green is provoked there. Helmets are going on. Here we go. And then it turns into chaos, right? As soon as this happens right there, that's a helmet being really wound back from Crump, right here. And that is a clear escalation. So then that starts happening. And then I think the only other thing that this footage really shows is this is where you start to see Jay McBurrows kind of shoved over here, right? The rest of that uh, like action against him, against Jay McBurrows, is happening over here. So we don't really see that. The only further action that we get from this footage is Windman put on his helmet, right? And he has some sort of swipe here, some sort of grab right here towards Geeman Green as he's getting hit with the helmet from Crump, right? So some sort of involvement there of Windman. What was his intention? Not sure, but he's grabbing at him, right? You could call that a punch. I wouldn't really, but he's grabbing at him. Grabbing at him, has his helmet on, and then a clear shove there from Windman, right? So not a great look from him. And this is the angle, right, of the footage that we were seeing, the other grainier footage, because this guy's running this way, where the rest of this gets blocked off. But not great. Not great. Okay. So that's what we get there. You also have, yeah, that's pretty much all you see. Then it's just a bunch of chaos. So a couple of guys to give credit to for Michigan State. Okay. Give credit to both number 41 and 33 here, right? They are carrying back the Michigan State player, carrying him out that way. So good on them for removing him from that situation. And then give credit to Captain Xavier Henderson for walking in and also, telling players to get into the tunnel and doing his part to de-escalate. Okay. Give credit there. All right. You gotta. Okay. So what are my thoughts on this? Okay. I'll go through it point by point. Number one. Oh, and it's gone. Number one. It doesn't want to show up. One more time. Number one, no violence like this is acceptable. Okay. Doesn't matter what's said. Taking it from a couple shoves and pushes and maybe a swipe like that to a full-blown take your helmet and swing it at the face of somebody, like that's a clear escalation that goes from like a squirrel, a quarrel, whatever, I don't know what you want to call that, but that takes it to criminal, right? That takes it to assault when you do that. And it's just a dangerous situation. Number two, the tunnel has been there forever. Okay. So is it a kind of a weird coincidence that you have the Penn State incident with the PB&J last week and then this? Yeah. But to me, the PB&J incident and kind of like the jawing that Michigan usually does against OSU and stuff, that's generally harmless, right? This is not harmless. The suspensions, number 4 here, suspensions are warranted, as is criminal proceedings that Jimmy Green and his family are doing against Crump and, likely probably just Crump, but I mean, Harmon was, or that's not his, Windman was there as well. Excuse me. So again, give credit to number 41 and Henderson for MSU for their part in de-escalating, or at least attempting to. Number 6, I didn't have footage of this. I didn't grab it, but there was footage of a fan kind of reaching at, touching Mel Tucker's head as he was entering the tunnel post game. Don't do that, right? That's ridiculous. That guy apparently has been dealt with and banned from the stadium moving forward. So that's great. Get those people out of there, because there's a pretty simple rule. Just don't touch people who, like, in that scenario. Like, it's just a pretty simple thing. Those people committing those acts should not be able to be in that position to do that again. So that's good that fan will no longer be there anymore. And then number 7 here, we'll have to wait to see if Windman is suspended. Probably should be. I saw some takes about this where it was like, oh, why wasn't he suspended right away, right? Like, why only, like, oh, they're trying to protect their better players, right? And it's like I can kind of understand that line of thought, but this was the only angle, at least initially, that we had of this, and you cannot tell who that is holding G-Man Green right there. And the push that Windman did do at this point was being blocked from the director of player personnel. Okay. So again, if Michigan State had this footage where it's much more clear that Windman was involved, right, in some form here, then maybe that's your argument. You can't make that assumption. we don't know when Michigan State got a hold of this footage, when that was made available at the time that they made the initial suspensions. So reserve judgment until there's further word on any more, or yeah, that's all the suspensions we're going to have, right? And then the final point, I'll put number 8 here. Probably, I want to word this appropriately, so give me a second. Putting yourself in a dangerous situation doesn't excuse assault, right? That seems pretty, that seems obvious, but I also saw a lot of people saying like that, why were you going to the tunnel? Like you're putting yourself in a really dangerous situation. And I think there is some credence to that. Obviously doesn't excuse the actions, right? You should be able to behave like an adult. Even though Jeeman Green and Jay McBurrows were there, that doesn't excuse any of the actions from the Michigan State players. However, right, with that being said, they were not putting themselves in the most safe situation. Okay. I think we can all agree that being there wasn't necessarily the best situation. Oh, let me give this analogy. When I was in Columbus for the 2018 game, okay, leaving that stadium, there were some tailgates where I did not feel comfortable walking through, right? It was a constricted area between a couple tailgates. I could tell people had been drinking, there were some emotions high, and I did not feel comfortable walking through those tailgates, right? I know that I would be reasonable and just kind of keep my head down. I could not predict the behavior of those people walking through there in Columbus, right? I was wearing Michigan gear. It might have been safe, but it would have been a scary situation for me, right? So I took an alternate route. Okay. That is me taking additional steps around unreasonable people, right? It's fair to say that, hey, I don't expect people to commit assault, but you can't guarantee that, right? So in this sort of scenario for Jay Green and Jay McBurrows, going through a tunnel after a win over a rival, of course, you don't expect that action to result in you getting pounded like that, but it's also it's a highly charged scenario. Okay. So again, just throwing that out there that I think this is how I want to word that, right? Putting yourself into a more dangerous situation doesn't excuse that action, right? If I had walked through that tailgate at OSU after the 2018 Michigan game, if there was any action against me, would not excuse the behavior of those people, but also I was taking that extra action to ensure that didn't happen, right? I think that's the main point I'm trying to get across here. Why is my face so yellow in this? I don't know what's happening. Let me do that. That's better. So that's it. It's a tunnel. It's not Compton. That's also true, Ben. 90 plus years, how many incidents of assault has there actually been? And that's exactly it. Because post game, even after the Penn State game last week, right? There's videos of Michigan and Penn State players walking out of the tunnel, just talking, right? Just being kind to each other, just talking, just exiting, right? No incident whatsoever. And that's probably 99.9% of every single thing like that. So it's ridiculous to think that like, oh, they shouldn't have been there. It's been this way for a long time. Okay. You don't like it's crappy now that this is going to likely change things because of unreasonable actions from Michigan State side, right? He has all the right to be there. No one should expect situation to escalate to that level. Players are expected to be professionals, and we should hold them to those standards. That's true. And I do think the final, like another point here to make is, Um, what was security doing? Can't spell security, right? Like I see a lot of adults here. I mean, some of these are parents of recruits and stuff like that. But what were some of the like event? Like where was the security here, right? And again, this isn't this isn't excusing the behavior. I'm just saying that like there could be operations improved. Okay, and again, all of this all of this doesn't excuse the behavior. I'm just going to keep saying that because I don't want any of this taken out of context. But where was it? Like it needs to be there in case something like this happens, and the response has to be quick, right? So I know this event only took place over the like what 10-15 seconds, so it is quick, um but it's just a bummer. So I expect, let's see, my expectations moving forward. One, likely uh, dismissal of number 14 for MSU. I think that's likely what's going to happen. I'm going to say few game suspension for other three players. I'm going to say additional suspension for Winman. Right, that's also a captain. That's not great. Um, and then what else? Probably some operational changes in the tunnel, right? You're not going to be building another tunnel. That's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. But more stingy operation of the tunnel for at least the rest of the year is going to take place, right? Just to ensure that nothing like this happens. I think that's all. I think this is what's going to happen. So those are my thoughts. Often security SOPs. I'm not sure what that is. Don't include physical intervention. It's ridiculous, but a common practice when vendors are hired, and still no excuses. 1,000% accountability and consequences needed. And you know what? Give credit. I've seen a lot of MSU fans who have said exactly this: that it's unacceptable, right? A lot of things like that. And 98% of the players, right, were either getting away from it. There were a few that were de-escalating. Again, all it takes is a couple people to escalate, right? And that's what happened. Okay, let's get into a Q&A that I received. Let me shift this footage to the actual game so we can talk through. Talk through this Q&A I got from @MillerLight91 on Twitter. Do you think there's any credence to the idea that Michigan is playing conservatively in many areas because they want to keep some things under wraps for the Ohio State game, or is that nonsense? I go back and forth on it. I think that's a really good question. I will say some, okay? I'm going to say some, but not a lot, right? I think there's a lot of different wrinkles, a lot of different things that you kind of rep and have in your back pocket for adjustments, not just against a specific team, but for different scenarios, right? If I'm in a close game and an opponent responds with this, or I know certain tendencies of a given team, I'll be able to exploit that. So we should rep X, Y, and Z to handle these different types of adjustments that teams may make to what we're doing well. I think we saw some of that with Michigan's willingness to run against Penn State, right? That was a game where Michigan realized, hey, in order to be effective on offense, we'll probably have to run the quarterback a little bit more, right? So I think there are probably some aspects where Michigan will realize, hey, we need to get JJ's legs involved a little bit more, right? And lean on that a little bit heavier than other games. I think like red zone offense, creativity is likely the main area for this argument. And what I mean by that is Michigan's red zone offense, especially against Michigan State, was pretty bland, right? It wasn't great. I think there were just a few things that Michigan did not do did not do well in the red zone, and they need to make adjustments for that. So I think Michigan also approached this game against Michigan State realizing that they can probably win off field goals, right? You got 5 field goals, held Michigan State to 7 points. As long as you're getting points on those possessions, I think Michigan felt really comfortable with that. So do you save a bunch of stuff, right? Do you save a bunch of stuff specifically for Ohio State? No. But maybe a couple wrinkles, especially in certain scenarios, right? Third and short, or those fourth and short plays, or like red zone inside the 10, but outside the 5, right? Certain scenarios like that, where I feel like, especially when Michigan was up against Michigan State, probably hold those back, right? Where you're confident that these plays will work, but you feel like your game plan against Michigan State will be successful, right? So I don't really think that Michigan's playing super conservatively in a lot of areas to keep things under wraps for that game. But I think you do build specific sets. You do game plan a little bit more, or a little bit each week for those bigger games, Illinois, OSU, which is crazy. I lumped in Illinois as part of that, right? But you prep a little bit for each of those teams each week, because it'll take a little bit more attention to actually take those teams down. So I think that's where I'm at with it. It's not a whole lot. It's just the little wrinkles here and there to be prepared for in certain scenarios, like red zone offense. Okay. All right. Let's get into some film analysis here. Okay. Again, I'll be doing all of this tomorrow with Trevor McHugh as part of our cut-ups. But this is just to kind of be a first initial look, right? So a lot of this I haven't prepped super hard for, but we're gonna go through it. This is a great initial questions here. IO, KO, are our receivers just not beating cornerbacks the line of scrimmage, or physical enough with DBs to create separation? I think this is Michigan State definitely was playing in the parking lot. All right. They were dropping a lot of deep. I mean, they had 2 deep safeties pretty much the entire game. They were giving up a lot of stuff underneath. I feel like they've been doing that all year. It seemed like their defensive strategy was to keep those safeties back, give up the intermediate stuff, and trust your defensive line against the run game and constrict the field in the red zone. And overall, it worked, right? It was just not enough mistakes from Michigan to keep the Spartans in it. So I think this is a lot of teams taking away a lot of the deep stuff. And I think both Penn State and Michigan State did not expect to get paved on the ground in the fashion that they did. I think they had a lot more trust in their front seven to keep Michigan's ground game in control. And they wanted to force a lot of repeated execution out of JJ McCarthy and ensure they kept everything in front of them in the pass game. And I think they were wrong about their approach in the run game. I think they were more confident than what actually happened. Okay, so I don't know how many plays we'll get through. Probably go 45 minutes or not. But we'll go through that. And yeah, this is a good point. Coleman 50-50 balls. There's a couple of those I'll go through. So this is kind of a story of the game. Okay, so I'm looking at both positive and negative here, both ways. And this was right away, segment 25 on the first drive. Michigan just completely shutting down a little read option here out of the pistol. So Michigan, and this is kind of an alignment that I don't know, maybe Michigan State should have checked out of. When you have a defensive back lined up over another defensive back like this, right? You look at them, they're both right on the hash. That's usually a sign that one of these guys are coming, right? Why do you have both these guys out here, especially in this sort of formation, right? There's only 2 wide receivers out here. So with this extra wide alignment here for this guy, right, that's to cover any sort of routes out here, and it'll have him. So because of this, they probably should have checked out with this sort of read option that Michigan State had. That's probably something that Michigan State wasn't prepped for or just didn't notice. But it's good This is kind of an RPS win for Michigan. So at the snap here, right, the left guard and left tackle are both pulling here, right? So they're both pulling here. The read is on the defensive end. Defensive end is going to crash down. So on this fake here to the running back, it's kind of a counter look, right? You have both these pullers. They're looking, you're reading out here to see if he goes down, right, you keep to the outside. If he stays home, right, then you give, and you can do a little bounce out here with this give. So it also looks like Peyton Thorne is actually reading to the outside here. So I'm not. I mean, if he gives, this play is just dead, right? This play is just dead because you have Junior Colson coming down here. You have Mike Morris on the running back. You have the corner coming down. Wide receivers calling that out. So this play is dead to rights, right? So should he have kept it? Probably not, but Sainer still is coming down to get there. Junior Colson's there. Even Mike Morris takes out both the running back and the quarterback. So this play is dead to rights. Really, even without this blitz from Sainer still, right? Because you're doing this scrape exchange. What I mean by scrape exchange, defensive end crash down for any sort of give for the running back, and you replace the edge, right? The edge responsibility is now your linebacker with Junior Colson for this quarterback keeper, right? So even without this here, that's what you're getting. So good job, right? Everyone does their job. Good job for Sainer still forcing this back inside, right? The only way you can possibly lose this is if you let Thorne to the outside here, even though Sainer still doesn't eventually pick up the tackle. He forced Peyton Thorne to cut back inside, and you have Junior Colson there and also Mike Morris to flow back. So good job from both of those players there. And we're back into offense here, first possession for Michigan. Okay. If Premiere Pro wants to play, there we go. Motion here for Donovan Edwards. So I'm including this for a couple reasons, and I'll call this out tomorrow as well. Because I talked with Trevor a little bit about it, I think, in a last video that we did. So thing I like about how Michigan starts their game, right? This is, I think, their first snap. They want to see how are they. This is all about gaining intel, right? And it, regardless of how successful this play is, this play will tell you a lot in Michigan State's response to a few things. First of all, what is their response to Donovan Edwards out here, right? They're probably saying, are they putting a regular cornerback out there? Are they running, a different scheme against Donovan Edwards when he's out split wide, right? So that's one thing. Line him up out there, see what kind of matchup that Michigan State is putting against one of your playmakers in Donovan Edwards split out wide. Okay. The next thing you gain here is put him in motion. Okay. What's the response here? Are they following him? Right. So do they really want this guy on Donovan Edwards, and are they going to follow him across the formation, or are they doing what they're going to do is drop him back, bring up somebody else, right? And just see their reaction. What is the defense's reaction to this motion? Not only will this give you some indicator of what they're going to do in this sort of formation with this sort of motion, but if there's any specific rules for the defense with Donovan Edwards, you can also learn that here as well, right? So just looking, you get a lot of intel just by the response here, right? You're dropping number 0 up. This guy seems like he's going back over safety high. You're bringing this guy down in response to that. So you're getting a lot of intel before you even snap the ball. And that's with your alignment and with your motion here that you're doing. So that's really cool that you're doing that. And then the other aspect that I like about this play is just a sheer domination up front, right? So because of this motion, look at the numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. And you like Michigan's chances here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 right here in the box for Michigan State. Right. So 6 on 6, you should be able to get through to the safety if you are Corum. And how is the mashing going up front? Right. We don't get a great view of this, but look at how well Michigan is paving here. Right. Especially with your double right here. just zone blocking straight up, a couple of doubles. You're going to release out to the linebacker here from this left side double. And it's just a really good job, right? Getting a lot of movement up front. Both linebackers right here are getting blocked, right? So initially, right away, boom, you get this crease for Blake Corum, and you're getting contact at 5 yards downfield, right? You're picking up 7 on first down. So this is just a really, really valuable play because you learn a lot, right? First offensive snap, you get to see what's the response to Donovan Edwards and this sort of screen look. What's the response to motion? And how are we looking with even numbers in the box here? What are our prognoses against the generally pretty stout defensive line for Michigan State, right? So I think Michigan just learned a ton on this play, and that's what you want to see from that first play is gaining intel and you're paving on the offensive line. Okay, so this is Michigan a little bit later on in the same first drive. You're past the 50-yard line now, and offense is clicking. And this is really the only way that Michigan State can get into this game, right? Where fumbling the ball, giving them easy possessions, that's the only way you lose against these guys, honestly, right? So again, Michigan kind of doing this is sort of a similar look, right? It's not with Donovan Edwards, but Michigan kind of saw the response earlier to this motion across to twins on the opposite side here. A little bit different personnel, but anyway, because you did that motion earlier, right? You can kind of see what you could possibly get with bringing Ronnie Bell in this look. So pretty simple concept. You're bringing Ronnie Bell across. He is looking to block here. You got a block from Roman Wilson on the outside, a little stutter step, boom, little RPO action here where you fake the give here to Donovan Edwards, right? And then boom, hit the screen to Johnson. So could have done a little bit better job if you're Ronnie Bell here on that block, right? Kind of puts his head down. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Stay on that block. Johnson makes a good call of cutting up between that, though. And this is okay, right? This is first down. And again, you're at like a 6-yard gain right here before the fumble, right? So you get what you want in terms of numbers on the outside. If you get 6 yards, that's a successful play. It's unfortunate right there, right? You got to protect the ball. A little bit lackadaisical there. And it's a turnover. Old Ford along said, got a feel for CJ though. Someone was going to be the fall guy, see how aggressive MSU is going for the strip. And that's great point. They were going for it all day, right? They were I feel like you got that sense that was very much coached for Michigan State that, hey, if we're going to be in this game, we need to create some turnovers, right? So give Michigan State credit for creating that turnover. But again, you're not wrong there, Old Ford along, where you learned some stuff on that first drive, even with the takeaway, right? Michigan's offense was moving. The offensive line was doing well. But I think that is a teaching moment for sure after that initial drive of, hey, protect the ball. This is what they're going for. And they know that the offense now knows that Michigan State is going to be going really hard to create turnovers like that. Okay. Here we have Michigan State back with the ball. I don't know why. Okay. Back with the ball here. And just a really good play from a couple of defensive linemen. Again, this doesn't seem like a huge play, but I was watching these early plays just to see how was the defensive line doing. Because Michigan State obviously doesn't have the running backs they had last year. And this is another case where Mozzie Smith, I feel like is probably the least talked about player, at least from the broadcast perspective. And he's just absolutely demolishing and creating so many opportunities for everybody on the field. So Mozzie Smith, I'll call him out right here. They're looking for a double here. These two offensive linemen are going to try to double Mozzie Smith, reach out to a linebacker, right? That's their goal. Double on Mozzie, and then get out to the second level. And Mozzie Smith just doesn't let that happen, right? Mozzie Smith stands up the initial block. You got a second blocker there, and Mozzie Smith just gets his head across and creates that tackle almost single-handedly, right? Crazy. Crazy to do. Not only is that valuable to actually make the play, but no one's allowed to reach that second level from that left guard and left tackle, right? They're not able to get movement. So Mozzie Smith able to get under, use that leverage. He's got really good bend right here, right? Able to use that and then fall into that hole, right? And take out that tackle. So just a really good job there. You'd like to see a little bit better job from Chris Jenkins here. He kind of loses his feet here. His feet are not under him here, so he's not loading up. He kind of gets pushed down a little bit. But Mozzie Smith just doing a ton there. And then good job from Oki, right? He keeps his outside contained here. So as soon as he realizes running back is head inside, he shucks and gets a hat back inside as well. So good job from Oki, right? For him, it's just about continuing that, grow within that defense, get that running game responsibility tuned up because we know what he can bring in the pass rush, even though it's been a little bit quieter in the past couple games. But he's really become a really reasonable option at that position. So that's good to see. And then, yeah, so that's pretty much it, man. Just Mozzie Smith, just being a dude, right? And creating opportunities for other players. Here we have the 4th and 1. And again, this is Mozzie Smith. Chris Jenkins does a better job here. Makari Page gets his hat in on this one. Mozzie has been amazing all year. Yeah, honestly, one of the most valuable players on the defense, if not the most valuable player on the defense. And here he is again, right? This is really like 3 to 4 players really made this possible because 4th and half a yard, really tough to stop against anybody. Anybody. What does this even mean? I'll gladly pay you Tuesday to punch a Spartan today. No, we're better than that. We don't need violence here. I don't know what that means. Okay, so a few players to zoom in on. Mozzie Smith again. All right, let's go back to him. He's got one-on-one on the center, right? Tough job on the center. Mozzie Smith a little bit outside of him. He has to get across here. And Mozzie Smith just, again, just beats him, right? You can't block this guy one-on-one. You struggle in doubles, right? You look at right there and look at where Mozzie Smith is getting, right? His hands are underneath. He just has really good leverage, Mozzie Smith does. It's crazy. I think Mozzie Smith is listed at like 330 or something. He's very athletic for that size, right? So really good job making initial contact, boom, right around the line of scrimmage, a little bit, like actually probably a half yard behind the line of scrimmage, right? So that's Mozzie Smith making that main momentum stop, okay? Next guy who does a really good job is Chris Jenkins right here, okay? So he's got this right guard trying to tackle him. I need to change this color. I feel like that green is not, or the white is not popping. Yeah, green's better. Green and maize. Okay, so that right guard is actually trying to release to the second level, so I apologize. It's the right tackle here. It's a good job for Chris Jenkins getting his hands involved, right? Saying, I'm going to attack you, attack that gap inside, and then he shoves across. Just look at that little push with the right, swim over, and he makes contact with the running back right at the same time that Mozzie Smith is slowing him down. So boom, really good job there. And then from there, it's a couple additional players just maintaining their position and getting the hat in to stop. Okay, so Rod Moore does a really good job olaying kind of this free releasing right guard. He's releasing out here. He kind of commits to the outside and then back inside. Oh, that makes more sense. I'm too young, man. Or too lame. Thank you for the explanation, Sam Stamos. My mistake, trash can man. I should have known. I need to read up on my comics apparently. So Rod Moore there, right, making contact right there, just not letting any room for the running back to fall forward, right? Rod Moore isn't doing a whole lot there, but he's not letting him through. And then the final thing is Makari Page, right? Makari Page, right up at the line of scrimmage here, just again pushing, and he gets really low here. You see Makari Page setting the edge here, and then he's going to work back inside, see that hole, and just put his shoulder on the ball, right? just really smart, right? Don't jump on top. Don't, get low there and really don't allow anybody else to come through. So here we get a little bit better look of Chris Jenkins with that kind of swim move. Boom, gets across. Ozzie Smith there. I mean, it's a team effort here to stop this, right? And here's what I mean for Makari Page. Just getting low, right? Look at where he's getting low, putting that shoulder on the ball, not allowing for any room for that running back to fall forward. Just really important. So hell of a play. Hell of a play, and that's how you get off the field. Side note, crazy that they actually spotted this a first down initially, right? And you actually had to go to review for this. I mean, it's not even close, right? Not even close. I mean, he barely gets back to the line of scrimmage, let alone pick up the first down. So that was wild that they actually spotted that initially past the first down marker, but I digress. Okay. Here, McCarthy drops back. Oh, I love this play. This is one of my favorite plays all day because it shows that Michigan scouts really well. I think they scout extremely well all year. Give me 1 second here. And this is all about matchups, right? And what I mean by that is Michigan is really spread out. Look at the alignment here, right? For everybody, you are at the sidelines, right? And you look at this and you're like, oh, Michigan's got a 5-man box, right? 5 blockers, 5 here, 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker. You got what you want, right? Run the ball. But I think what they realize is, hey, we need to pick on this guy, right? This is a former UNLV defensive end who just got made into a linebacker, 2 weeks ago? He's still learning the position. And also, they're kind of putting him out, at linebacker to get their best players on the field, right? Where I feel like they didn't really like Ben Van Sumeren at the linebacker position. So they move Windman back into this linebacker position to kind of put another one of their defensive ends in order to put their best 11 on the defensive unit, right? So because of that, he's still a little bit green at the position, okay? And how do you take advantage of that? Put him in coverage, okay? So it's really easy. Do a little play action here, and then all you need to do is put him one-on-one in coverage, right? Good luck guarding against this. This is just a straight up shuffle, 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 boom. And Windman's a great athlete. He actually has really good straight line speed, but his lateral quickness isn't 100% there. Not against a 5-star in Donovan Edwards, right? And he just dusts him. So this is just taking advantage of a guy who is new to the position and understanding where you have a drastic advantage of athleticism, right? So this is kind of like what year was it? A couple of years, right? Why are you putting someone like Brandon Watson against like Jackson Smith and Jigba? Or I don't think that's exactly who it was, but any one of the or actually, I think a better comparison would be why are you putting like Mike McCray against Saquon Barkley on a wheel route, right? Kind of like that, where it's just like, man, that's not a winning formula, right? And this is the same sort of concept where it's like, really, you're going to put Windman, the guy who just moved from defensive end, look at all this green space, right? Because of those wide splits and because you have too high safety, taking away a lot of this stuff over the top, right? You can run these deeper routes, clear out, and just give all of this green grass for Donovan Edwards, right? That's exactly what you're doing. And you look at you look at McCarthy, and that's where his eyes are the whole time. He's looking at this. He's saying, this is my number one read. We want this matchup. As soon as he's out here, that's going to be open because we trust that our 5-star running back is going to be able to put his foot in the ground and get some separation. That's exactly what happens, right? It's a big play. Antoine Johnson, welcome back. What do you think about Michigan's route tree? They seem to be limited. Majority of their routes seem to be hitch routes and fly routes. If that would make them easy to defend. I'm honestly not like a route artisan. I'll be straight up honest with you, Antoine. I do think Michigan State was running a lot of too high safety and was taking away a lot of the deeper routes in general, right? So it seems like they're bracketing Ronnie Bell here, right? So safety is they're worried about Ronnie Bell here. So you might have had something deeper here. I just think in general, there was a lot of things open underneath here that Michigan was willing to take advantage of with their running backs and tight ends. Okay, I think Michigan's offense in general is a very high percentage offense. What I mean by that is this is a pretty easy completion, right? And this is a winning matchup that Michigan really likes. They went to it over and over again. Um, it's something where why not take this, right? Sure. Does this look open on the outside? Probably, right? But how hard is this throw, right, versus this throw, right? Number one, right here, right? This is your number one option. This is a 90% completion, right? On the outside here, you might have a touchdown, right? You might have a touchdown for number two. What percentage is that? 60%? Maybe a little higher if you trust McCarthy to make that throw. I guess my point here is I think this is how Michigan likes to run their offense in general. They really trust their run game. They really trust to get into scoring position. In the red zone, it's kind of a question mark still, and I think that's 100% where a lot of criticism can be, and I think that's warranted. Uh, Antoine, when I say the route tree, get confused. They think I'm talking about deep routes. They could add whip routes and comeback routes or routes that don't make them stand to one spot. Michigan did take advantage of Penn State's response to usually Michigan likes to run kind of drag routes and crossing routes from Ronnie Bell. And they ran a nice whip route to take advantage of that. I think you're probably right, Antoine, that they could be a little bit more diverse in the passing game. I think you're probably fine there, or I think you're probably correct there. Very surprised to see very few throws start tight ends in the red zone. I agree. Mark Edwards, only complaint: red zone conversions, field goals are good, touchdowns are for championship teams. I agree with that. I think again, you do have to take into consideration what kind of opponent it is. I think Michigan State did well to constrict and did defend well in the red zone. I also think Michigan is executing poorly there. And right, let's get to the red zone where there's a couple negative plays here, and we can try to break this down a little bit. But I think it's warranted. I think Michigan State has been really good in the red zone traditionally this year. But I also think, there's a lot of areas for Michigan to improve here. Okay, so what's wrong here? This is a straight up give, right? There's no read as a part of this. And this is blown up because of a block coming through that Keegan is not handling well. Okay, let's get to the end zone view here. What I mean by that is you have two pullers here. Okay, you have Ronnie Bell working to the outside. You see him working to 15, which is gross. His name right here. Okay, he's working to this guy. You were pulling Loveland, and he's going to pick up this end that is crashing down. Okay, these are your two blocks from your two pullers. Okay, the issue here is Keegan gets straight up beat. Okay, and when Keegan gets beat, guess what? Loveland is not able to work through to his block of this defensive end, right? Because this guy sneaks his way through. Loveland's blocked right here, right? And this guy is a free roamer in the backfield, right? So it's not on Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell is not tasked with that. And it makes sense, right? Ronnie Bell should be picking up a defensive back, not a defensive end type of person. That should be Loveland's job. Loveland just gets cut off here. So that's your free runner in the backfield, and it's game over, right? So this is on Keegan, right? Keegan needs to do a better job here. Give credit to that defensive tackle for getting there as well, right? I'm not sure if that's Slade. I know Slade is a really good defensive tackle. 54, that might be Slade. But yeah, so that's, give credit there to that defensive tackle for blowing that play up, because say Keegan does wash him out, right? You have this blocked pretty well. If Keegan's able to get this block and you have Loveland coming across here and picking up this defensive end, right? You could have a pretty good hole right here forming, or you could see a good bounce here, right, as well. Not a great block there from Keegan, and that's what blows up this play. Okay. Going to second and goal. Oh, Sam Stamos was in this picture. A fan in row A. Oh, you're in the southern end zone. Okay. All right. Call me out, Sam, when I'm there, and I'll get that. Mark Edwards. Okay, not too long ago, it was Michigan tradition to throw a timed fade route to the corner end zone. Are Michigan the elite wide receivers? By the way, you're awesome at this once again. Thank you. So I do think Michigan doesn't really have a contested jump ball guy. I feel like Andrew Anthony might be your best guy at that, but he's not the strongest in the rotation right now, right? He's just not there. So I don't think Michigan likes jump balls. I don't think they like fades. I don't really like fades either because they are lower percentage. I also think it is in this, and again, I'm talking in this game specifically, that is the highest probability to walk away without any points. Okay. It's a 50-50 ball, right? It's a 50-50 ball if you're throwing up there. Michigan doesn't have a Keon Coleman or really a Jaden Reed type, right? Love Ronnie Bell, love Rowan Wilson. I think even Cornelius Johnson is a great wide receiver, or at least a good wide receiver, but none of them have really shown really strong 50-50 jump ball scenarios, right? I think Nico Collins was probably the most recent best type of guy for that. So I think that kind of as Jesse Sims here says, would you say Michigan knew it could beat MSU with field goals, but knows it needs touchdowns to beat OSU? I think that's a great argument. I would probably subscribe to that a little bit more, where I think Michigan felt really confident on defense against Michigan State, especially as the game wore on. And I think Michigan was approaching this, and I think Michigan does approach that in general, like a very safe approach, right? I think against OSU, they're going to realize that, hey, field goals are not going to cut it, and you might see more creativity. I think that's fine. Harbaugh, not to lose offensive scheme, works against weaker opponents, not going to be good against high-powered offense. I mean, if you keep scoring, then you can keep up with them, right? The offensive scheme for Michigan, I mean, you can say weaker opponents, but it worked against OSU last year as well, right? It did. And I don't know many teams that are really slowing down Michigan's run attack this year. I don't. So I don't really subscribe to that, like only works against weaker teams. A strong run defense team like Georgia, now you might, like a really strong defense like Georgia last year, now you might have an argument. But I don't know if that exists this year in college football. Why is this one so blurry? Kind of looks blurry on my screen. Okay, so I'm really happy I include this play as well, because why doesn't this play work? Okay. I wish I might want to pull it up to show. I want to pull up a screen grab of a different play, kind of in this same formation. I'm going to look for it. The main reason this play doesn't work is because of the alignment of the safeties. Look how far up they are, right? Traditionally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you have a 6-man box, right? So you should have numbers here, right? The issue here is look at how close that safety is to react to this. He enters the box extremely quickly. Okay. So the issue here is, and it's honestly kind of weird because I'm not 100% sure who JJ McCarthy is reading, right? So it seems like he's looking at an area, right, where maybe he's expecting this linebacker to flow down, or maybe the safety to flow down, because you're blocking this defensive end, right? So I'm also kind of questioning whether this guy should be reaching out to the linebacker, maybe, right? So anyway, JJ McCarthy is reading something on the edge here, right? Because if If someone here is committing to the run game, then you should be able to keep to the outside. The issue here is look how close the safety is. Okay, you can have all of these guys, these guys who are potentially going to be committing to the quarterback keep game out here, right? Look how close they are to the line of scrimmage, especially that safety, right? Because you trust with the reaction of the linebackers here. If this safety is deeper over the top and has to, think about the pass game, then you have a winning matchup here. The issue is he doesn't really have a lot of room to cover out here, so he can play just beyond the depth of the linebackers, right? He's only a yard back there. So you don't have enough numbers here to block to the safety, through the safety, right? On the outside, you have numbers, boom, 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 and the linebackers have kind of committed here. But because the safety doesn't have to respect a whole lot in the pass game, it's a one-on-one battle against a safety, right? And you like this one-on-one battle if this is a linebacker, but this is a safety essentially at linebacker depth, right? So that's why this play doesn't work, because he doesn't have as much pass responsibility here, and he has similar athleticism to chase him down. Give him credit, does a good job, right? Now you can have the rest of the defense flowing here. So I'm going to make a bet here that what we see in terms of getting more creative, here's a fun little thing you can do, right? You're putting this on film. What's the next approach here, right? What can you do here? Michigan's going to realize that, hey, these safeties, if they want to get aggressive here, and we're showing this little fake action here, right? What's the response to this guy flying up the field, right? You take one of these guys, probably right here, right? Do a little fake stalk block, and then boom, run a slant, right? Same thing here. Do a little fake, boom, right? Do out here. And you can do different things like that where you're running this quarterback keep look right here, right? If safeties want to come up like that, and that's going to be the response, show this initially, right? Show this tuck initially, and then just run him out, right? And you'll have inside leverage. This guy's momentum is taking him upfield already. You'll have a lot of open field because of that exaggerated response from that safety, right? I think that's the response you're going to see right here. That's what you're going to see right here. Instead of this block, boom, run him inside, hold up, and pass the ball. I think that's it. Mark Edwards with the $5. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Come back tomorrow, and I'll have all of this again with Trevor McHugh, but appreciate that. It means a lot. And to your question, a bit off topic, could you explain the importance of time possession at current levels versus playing a team like Ohio State? Does this strategy translate to a competitive game versus elite offense? It's a really good question, because I think we kind of saw with with Ohio State versus Penn State. Ohio State can really, really score quickly, right? A game can get out of hand with a very explosive offense like that. And even looking at last year, Ohio State did extremely well against Michigan's defense. They just did. The issue is Michigan kept them in check in specific moments. And mainly it was in third downs where Michigan was able to get pressure, force some errant throws, and constrict Ohio State to some field goals. And Michigan continued to run the ball really well, converted in the red zone, had some explosive plays, and did not have to settle for field goals as much, right? That was really it. Where Michigan was just more efficient in turning their possessions into 7 points, where Ohio State was constricted in key moments and had to settle for a few field goals. And then it kind of snowballed for Michigan a little bit towards the end there. So is time of possession really that important? I think it just, when Michigan's on offense and they're able to grind the game down, right, and run that clock, you just give less opportunities in general to an explosive offense like Ohio State, right? So Ohio State is most, generally outside of last week where JTT, that defensive end for Ohio State, went just absolutely bonkers, right? But traditionally, Ohio State's offense is just a machine, right? So the longer you can keep that machine off the field, the better, right? And I think Io has a good point here. Time possession also ices out the opponent offense. I mean, that's also true where the colder they get, right? It's in November as well. I don't know how much that really comes into play, but the less reps that a team can get, the less things they can figure out, the less time there is to actually find their groove. Penn State had turnovers. Otherwise, they had a great game against OSU. Time possession, great advantage if you don't have turnovers. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's important to not OSU. Well, yeah, I think OSU is a different. Well, I think OSU they have a really strong run game as well. Well, I mean, but the run game did struggle against Penn State. So, I think in general, you always want to, like, I think most teams would prefer. I mean, again, I'm kind of painting broad strokes here, but being able to be very efficient on offense and also have the time of possession advantage is the best way to guarantee success. I think that's it. I think OSU is just explosive, right? When you have those sort of wide receivers in general, I don't think there's been really too many teams that have had the stretch of elite wide receivers that Ohio State has. When you have that sort of talent at that position, I don't think it really matters what style of offense you are. You're just going to have more explosive plays. I truly think that's a differentiator for Ohio State in general. Okay, let's go to a couple negative plays here on defense. And this is just the Keon Coleman drive, right? Where Michigan State just said, hey, we're just going to throw it up, right? And this is key because what is this? 3rd and 8 here, right? And Michigan has continued to shut down. Hold on, I want to check something real quick. Michigan's continued to shut down the running game for Michigan State, right? You can't get a whole lot if you're the Spartans on the ground. So I feel like this is the backup plan, right? Where it's just like, hey, we just got to beat some guys one-on-one. And Keon Coleman, pretty excellent wide receiver for them. What a find, right? 6'4", physical guy, just able to go up and get it, right? This isn't bad defense. If you look at the coverage here for Jima Green, right? Get your hands in it, try to slow him down a little bit. In his hip pocket here, maybe a little separation. But Coleman just goes up and gets it, right? He has a great vertical. This is what you want as a defensive back. Primarily what I mean by that is get your hand between the hands of this wide receiver, right? Great hand strength because he breaks up the hand. Jima Green does, right? He's doing exactly what you're told here, where you put your hand between the hands of the wide receiver, rip through, right? What are the odds that a wide receiver can really hold on to that, right? Coleman does a great job here and holds the ball really against his own face mask here and then up against his shoulder, right? But Jima Green does a great job. Defending that. This is just give credit to a guy, right? 6'4" with that vertical and able to pull that down. So sometimes you got to give a guy some credit there, and that's just a dude making a play. So sometimes it's going to happen, right? And you got to live with it once in a while. Let's see. Georgia struggled a lot last year. Their all-world defense bailed them out of several games. Offense played complementary to their defense. Yeah, what was it? 8 players from their defense got drafted or something, and like most of them in the first 3 rounds or something. Pretty crazy. Penn State defense fell apart in the 3rd. I think they were just winded. Yeah. Isn't a new strategy, I'm sure, but this style of football is old, tired, and true. Smash mouth football, time possession equals control. I think it goes back to just controlling the line of scrimmage too, right? If you can really build yourself in the trenches on offense, then you're going to set yourself up well on 2nd and 3rd and short more often than not, and that's hard to compete with when you consistently do that over the course of the game. It's just about not doing what Penn State did on offense, which is turnovers. Because another thing about turnovers is you're giving your defense less time to rest, right? Against a really talented team like Ohio State. That's why you see a lot of really just piling on points at the end of that game. Is the talent eventually gets really tiring for opposing defenses. So the longer your defense can rest between that, the better. I like the way Jesse immediately in the second half adjusted to Michigan State's big wide receiver, made sure he kept safety over the top, and later more baited Sparty into an interception. It's a good point, Antoine. It was quicker than just this first, or I'm sorry, it was before the second half that they made the adjustment. Okay, so this is the very next play. One key component here. This is the very next play after that big one. This is something that Michigan State tried to do a couple times. Look at the play clock here, right? 31 seconds. Michigan State realized, hey, we are going to run tempo here and choosing their moments wisely here, right? Where it's like, okay, hit a big play. We're going to run tempo. They didn't run tempo a lot, but they had these situations where it's like, okay, we need to capitalize right away on this momentum. And again, this one could have been called pass interference. Okay. I don't think this angle really shows it. This angle might show it better. And Michigan's trying, right? You got Makari Page. Makari Page probably should have gotten over there a little bit quicker, right? He's on that side of the field. He needs to realize, hey, there's nobody else that I'm really responsible for on that side. So he needs to start bailing a little bit earlier if you're Makari Page. So he's a little late there. But again, right here, that little push right there. There's a little push right there. Because right now it's 50-50, right? 50-50, boom, there's a push. It's subtle, but it's there. And Keon Coleman, again, really good ball skills. Really good ball skills from him, right? And when he's 6'4", ball is well placed like that, and you get a little push off, I mean, good luck, right? Should this be called pass interference? Probably. Is it ever really called pass interference? Probably not, right? I just don't see it called all that often, regardless of who you are. He's tough, man. I think Coleman, I know he plays basketball, but that's a good catch, right? And it's crafty. This is crafty. Just a little push right there, and really good ball skills. So it's a well-placed ball. Again, this is another situation where give credit to the player, right? Jima Green, I think, has a case for offensive pass interference. I would say it's a crafty play. Not necessarily 100% legal, but again, that doesn't get called a whole lot. But one thing I'll say now is now that is on film, and there were a couple plays in this game where Coleman did a little push off like that. He might start getting a little bit of a reputation, right, of being a little handsy, and that may be something where they're able to key in on that. The refs are moving forward. We need a Coleman. How fast does transfer portal work? We'll see, man. I like Michigan. Darius Clemens, I think, has a little bit of that. And Clemens, I think, is 6'3", right? Let me see if that. Darius Clemens, 205. It's like, yeah, 6'3". 6'3", 205. So give Clemens a year. I think he's already in the program to that question mark. Okay, so now we're back. Michigan down 7-3 here. And again, this play is all about putting the linebacker for Michigan State in a tough position. Okay, again, they're sending four in. They're sending four in the pass rush, right? You got Diamond Edwards here. You need to account for him. So that's what Cal Halliday is responsible for right here. So what does that mean? You have Windman alone here in the center of the field, and you have a just quick little drag route here from Schoonmaker, right? So, again, he just doesn't seem comfortable here. If you're a Windman there, right, and Schoonmaker's just able to absolutely dust him, right? So that's a guy who's just not comfortable in pass coverage right here, right? Just not comfortable here. So again, that's your initial read. And if you're looking like, why aren't we going deep? Again, look at kind of Michigan State's response here, right? They are putting a lot of bodies deeper here, and they're leaving number 4 here on an island, right? So that's why you look at the initial read here for McCarthy. He's kind of checking, okay, that safety is dropping, right? It looks like he's initially looking probably out of the corner of his eye to see, yep, this guy is dropping. Okay. So that means that I'll probably have whatever, I'll probably have this room open over here, and his eyes shift to this linebacker, right? And linebacker is just a little bit lost, right? So it's a good ball to Schoonmaker in stride, easy pickup, right? Um, Easy pickup. Michigan should have picked on that linebacker all game long. He was bad in coverage. Yep, that's the same guy we saw earlier with Donovan Edwards, right? And Schoonmaker had a huge game. He had like 7 catches, 80-something yards, probably more than that. So that was definitely Michigan's game plan of like, hey, if you're going to leave 2 safeties back, right, you're not going to drop into a whole lot of zones. You're going to leave that guy in coverage. Like, yes, please, we'll do that. And now we have Blake Corum just doing Blake Corum things. One of my favorite takes from the Michigan State message boards is like, I could run through the holes that Michigan is putting up, right? That it's Michigan State's offensive line that is creating this and not Blake Corum. And then he does things like this in the game, and it's just really funny, right? Where it's like, yeah, you're right. This is a great hole, right? Give a lot of credit there. But also Blake Corum is doing stuff like this, right? Like 3 players just tumbling over each other. So that was just really funny to me. So what do we got here? Just inside zone blocking here. Right side of the line is, or really center and right side of the line is just caving down, right? Boom, boom, cave down this way. Okay. Block here. Keegan's releasing to that second level, right? Picks up Windman really well. So you're blocked. Really good job, especially from your left tackle, Hayes. Look at those hips, right? Turn them this way. Turn them this way. Turn them this way. You'd like to see Honigford do a little bit better, stay engaged on this guy to the outside, right? This guy does work upfield, but again, give Blake Corum just a little bit of a crease, just enough time here, and he goes. And something that I really like about this, Blake Corum, usually when he receives a handoff here, usually he does a little hop skip, right? Sometimes he'll kind of stutter, do a hop skip, and then he'll go, but not in this scenario, right? And I think it's because there's no pullers here, right? There's no pullers. And he also probably recognizes, hey, this guy's my biggest threat, right? He recognizes these blocks. There's no pullers coming across here. This isn't something that's not the play design. So he goes right away. So he's patient when he needs to be, when he needs his blocks to develop. In this case, time is of the essence, right? There's 2 holes he can take here, but he recognizes he has Ronnie Bell here. This guy is probably the guy who could come back to this route and also look at this block that you have from your left tackle, right? So just get going. No need to stutter there. And then good job working to the left here, right? And then put a foot in the ground, put a little shimmy on, spin away. And number 15 here is lucky he gets up and able to trip up Blake Corum just a little bit because that's an elite move. So really good blocking, but man, just making guys look silly as well, right? Special player, just a special player. And yeah, Gross is really, really lucky to trip him up right there. Just enough to make Corum kick his own feet there. Okay. 1st and 10, second quarter here. I think I probably got another 15 minutes or so. All right, here, little flea flicker. Okay, and this play wasn't necessarily 100% successful, but I really like this play. And what I like about it is there wasn't anything forced, right? Really good blocking up front, giving plenty of time. Again, you're only sending 2 guys out in coverage, right? Actually, let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 2 guys out on routes here. And what I like here is that JJ McCarthy didn't like what he initially saw, repositioned to give himself a better angle and found a successful play, right? And this was the very next play after that big run from Corum, right? So there's probably a lot of adrenaline trying to capitalize on that, right? And I like the timing of this play where you do this little flea flicker Um, you do this little flea flicker to try to get all of this reaction, right? The running back just made a huge play, running the ball again, get them in that kind of scramble mode of, man, this guy's dangerous, right? So I like the timing of this flea flicker where it's like, okay, he has the ball, let's overreact. So give a lot of credit to Michigan State for staying home and being able to get back in that, right? It's good eyes from the safety, especially finding that guy and getting back. But what was the number one thing hanging into this year about JJ McCarthy, right? Can he be safe? Can he be the safe guy? Um, and here he is, right? Because he recognizes that this isn't open, right? As soon as he gets it, he's looking at the safety, recognizes that he's bailing. He's like, okay, what is the other reaction of the guy that's currently on Roman Wilson, right? He sees that he's pretty covered right here. So I think last year version of JJ McCarthy might throw this ball, right? And that's not an open throw, right? Probably should have been called holding. Roman Wilson's calling for it there, but it's not open, right? It's not open. So then you have JJ McCarthy saying, hey, what do I have for Ronnie Bell? I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a drag that Ronnie Bell then recognizes and does a little whip route, or if that's like just kind of a sit route and then a like outlet. I'm not 100% sure. But I like that. I like that Ronnie Bell recognizes that, calls out, that he's going to the sideline right here. Ronnie Bell calls this out. And then what I like is that JJ McCarthy is kind of creating this angle a little bit, right? Making it a little bit easier of a throw. And then he sets his feet, right? Boom, work out, see all the open area, set your feet, and then just throw to that open area, right? You got a lot of space there. Doesn't need to be a perfect throw to the sideline. Just give it out to that area. So it's just really smart. This is really smart quarterbacking. I don't think Schoonmaker could have released. I mean, it depends on the alignment to the outside, right? Whether they were on the line or not, whether he was uh, eligible or not, depending if they're on the line of scrimmage. But yeah, just smart, right? This is designed to be max protect because of the flea flicker. Only send two guys out, and it's just really well executed. And I like seeing those smart plays from JJ McCarthy, not forcing it, right? How do you lose against an inferior opponent like Michigan State? Turnovers and mistakes. And this is just a good job of, probably high adrenaline after that big play, going through your progressions, trusting them, right? Not getting caught up in the moment, saying, you know what, that's not open. What else do we have here? It's a good point. He probably could have taken off here, right? But another thing is this is a great chunk play, right? That's a big pickup. So I like to see that. I like to see him making those good decisions, not forcing things, and that's what being a good quarterback, good leader of the offense is all about. So really happy with that play. Okay, 1st and 10. Pistol formation here. JJ McCarthy sends Bredesen in motion here. A little play action pass. Really good job stepping up in the pocket here, keeping his cool. Finding Schoonmaker again against an inferior linebacker. Right, this isn't the day of Michigan State where they had a million, seemingly just excellent linebackers. Michigan's really picking on them in this game. Bummer of a thing here is that you had Andrel Anthony. Okay, if we're watching Andrel Anthony here, forget what happens in the backfield. Just look at this route for Andrel Anthony. He wins here. Okay, he wins. His route is going to be open. The issue here, right? If you look at kind of the safety as well, both defensive backs really headed this way. Safety's headed this way. And you have Andrel Anthony running across here, right? So Andrel Anthony would have open space here. He beats his cornerback there, and Andrel Anthony would have probably been there for a touchdown. He only starts to redirect here. Andrel Anthony does because of the rollout nature of JJ McCarthy. Okay. So because of the pressure, that is what derails this, right? But you can kind of see this route for Schoonmaker does a lot, right? This route for Schoonmaker, that is why this safety is getting that depth, right? Because of this threat. So this would have been there, but the issue is this guy comes screaming off the edge here, right? And give give some credit here for Keegan, right? Keegan is pulling here, and his responsibility is to pick this up, right? So this is play action all the way here, right? This is an RPO. This is play action all the way. So Keegan does a good job getting enough, right? I don't really see he does a good job setting his feet here, right? So hard to say if he really could have done better, right? He does a good job picking that up. Um, and then here it just kind of becomes roll out and find what's open, right? That because you're rolling this way, maybe you could argue that JJ McCarthy shouldn't have ducked out and set his feet here to try to find Andrel Anthony, but it's a good job finding that, right? So you got Bredesen kind of taking this defensive back away here, right? You have Blake Corum kind of escaping. He's going to the flat. So really, this safety was responsible for any deep that Schoonmaker could have been running because Schoonmaker is running underneath here. That's Kyle Halliday's responsibility. And again, this is Michigan just kind of picking on a linebacker, right? He's not athletic to make any sort of play on that ball, and Schoonmaker just does a nice job. So it's a well-located ball as well, nice and high, kind of in the butt zone, as people used to call it for Jake Butt, and just really smooth. Schoonmaker's a player, right? He's really shined, and that was a great, really great pitch and catch. So, okay, one more play here, and it'll be a good spot to stop. Let's go ahead and. Oh, this is just the touchdown. It's kind of boring. All right, maybe we'll do two. Oh, yeah, this is just the touchdown. Okay, yeah. So this is a little bit more creative, right? A little touch pass, a little give to Blake Corum here. Kind of bold on the blocking. I think Michigan was expecting a form of kind of what they had been. I don't know what Michigan was really expecting here because it's kind of bold, right? Where it's you're choosing this battle for Michigan, right? And what I mean by that is got this blocked, you're going up to the linebacker here. You're choosing this battle versus this defensive end, right? There's no like RPO action here. This is just a straight give and go, right? So I think possibly Michigan is expecting Blake Corum to continue this to the outside, right? And then cut it up here. Blake Corum just sees a little bit more of a crease here, right? He says, I'm going to be able to break, shed that tackle, and then just make my way into the end zone. And he does, right? One thing that's really interesting and kind of cool about the way Blake Corum runs here is look at how he kind of uses that right arm, right? He and maybe this other angle will show it a little bit better. Probably, yeah, right here. He uses that kind of arm. He puts it out in front here and says, okay, try to get an arm tackle, and then he sheds. See that little shed for Blake Corum for that arm? Not able to get a hold of him when he's doing that, right? So it's just a little like weird little things that Blake Corum does to make it really tough to grab him, right? 94 should be able to tackle him, right? Like he's right there. But it's just not he's just not able to get his arms on the body of Blake Corum, right? Just really clever little things that Blake Corum does right there with his arm to make it really difficult on players. Really cool. Sam Stamos, right in front of me. I'm not in the picture. Camera angle, not picking you up. Oh, damn. Yeah, it's too low. We'll find you. We'll find you tomorrow. That's what we'll do. We'll find you tomorrow. So I don't think this was a busted play, Antoine. I don't. Defensive end should have got Blake. I honestly think. Oh, props with Mike Hart too. Yeah. I'm sure he coaches some of this as well. Wait, there I am on the aisle, top of the row I, row A, yellow jacket and knit cap. All right, we're finding him. Oh wait, you're here. Row A. Just a quick glimpse. I'm gonna draw I'm gonna draw. Is this you? Or are you over here? Okay, we need to find out where you are. Are you number one? Number two? Are you closer to three? Or are you not in this one at all? Sam, this is the Sam Stamos. Where's Waldo? Is this the angle? We got to figure this out. Now I'm very interested. Not in pick. Okay, where the hell are you? We got to find you. Oh, maybe this one? Oh, shit. Okay, I'm guessing that is you. One. I'm looking. What am I looking for? On the aisle, top of row I, row A, yellow jacket, yellow jacket. That is his brother John. John John Stamos. Are you number two? Right here. Is that you? Okay, I'm putting numbers here. Tell me when I'm close. We're gonna brute force this. 6, 0. Which one? And then are you high or low? I'm gonna put arrow right, arrow down. All right, we're gonna find out where you are. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And then are you up or down? We're gonna figure this out, Sam. Yellow jacket. Is this you? Okay, we're looking at an aisle as well. I'm looking for an aisle. 2. Okay, here we go. 1 over from the top. Low. Okay. I think this is it. Is this you? Sam Stamos. Row A. That's got to be you. I think we found him. Yellow jacket. Looking for a yellow jacket. That looks like him. The aisle is on my left as I am sitting. Yeah, I mean, that looks like you. Zoom in. Okay. Think so. We're zooming. Oh, am I at the wrong angle? Yeah, I'm at the wrong angle. Okay. He's the guy picking his nose. Don't say that. Don't be rude. Oh. What'd you do on Monday night, Steven? I tracked down a guy in the live stream. Oh, this is funny. That was Sparty. Oh, you guys are funny. Okay. I mean, this is not the best. The yellow knit cap. Man, we're getting some Zapruder film stuff. I can't tell. Did you say yellow? The aisle is left as you are sitting. So I feel like this has got to be you or something. Nice. Let me see. Yellow jacket and knit cap. We found him. Ladies and gentlemen, we found him. We got him. All right, it's over for you, Sam. You're tracked down. Nowhere to hide anymore. What are the odds? What are the odds of that? Truly, though. That's why I'm here, folks. You come here to get found on a live stream. That's just a good time. Okay, so from this angle, Antoine, you called it out. Where'd you say this? I want to prove you wrong. Where are you? Busted play that happened to work. No, this was an appropriate play. This was an appropriate play. Just keep happening. Okay. And what I mean by appropriate play is look at, okay, now I'm getting mad. It keeps trying to save. Okay. So I mean by that, look at all the space to the outside here, right? I don't think Blake Corum appropriately cut this up, right? Because they left this guy intentionally unblocked for Blake Corum. Look at all this space out here, right? You really think that Blake Corum would do better out here. So I do think Schoonmaker had a poor block there. Schoonmaker should have done a better job there. Give credit to that defender, actually, for forcing this kind of inside a little bit. But I don't think that's the matchup that Michigan wanted, right? Because you also have a free releasing linebacker, right? So you have him and him. If Blake Corum is on this path to the outside, right? You like this matchup a lot better. But Schoonmaker does get blasted back a little bit, and that's probably the decision for Blake Corum to cut this up instead, right? So I like this play. I like this play design. I think Corum probably should have continued to the outside, but he's also strong, right? And you can call these missed tackles because they are, but also that's what Blake Corum kind of gives you, right? He's kind of an artisan in that fashion. Okay, tomorrow this continues. I might go through a select number of these plays with Trevor. So if there's any duplicates, I apologize, but it is bedtime. And tomorrow I will be here with Trevor to talk through more plays from this game. If you are not a member, make sure you subscribe to Maze Blue Review. If you don't want to subscribe, at least throw a subscription and a like to the channel here on Maze and Blue Review. That goes a long way. And I appreciate all of you guys for coming out. It's always fun doing these with you guys. So that's it for me. I'm going to go to bed. Actually, I'm going to eat some candy and I'm going to go to bed because it's Halloween. And that's how we do things here. Okay, guys. Appreciate it again. We found Sam Stamos, and that's a win in my book, and that's a win in Michigan's book. All right. Take care. Have a good night. Bye, guys.